Hey y'all, I'm Elisa and I am the Scrappy Wife behind scrappywife.com, and today I have a Bible journaling process video for you. I am on day 6 of 2020 Vision, Living Life Through a God Lens, and this devotional is by Lori, one of the owners of By the Well for God, and it's a beautiful devotional that has us looking at 2 Corinthians 4, 7 through 10. And I'm really excited to journal through this verse. I am planning on using this gorgeous stamp set called Assembled in His Image, which I thought was just adorable with all of these cute robots. I'm going to do some paper piecing and some mixed media. I actually have already journaled on the page with this verse, so I'm going to journal on the page right next to it and just have a reference there. I will put you all on fast forward. As always, everything I use will be linked below, so make sure to check that out if you're interested. Let's go. The first thing I'm going to do is some paper piecing with those sweet robot stamps. And I have a gray piece of paper here and the Ranger mica sprays, and they have a shimmer to them. I'm using the silver and the gold, and I'm just spraying it over the paper to give it a metallic look. And you can see how it has that shine afterwards, kind of a cool hammered finish, which I really like. And I am going to be stamping the robots onto this as kind of the basis. Since they're robots, I thought metal seemed really appropriate. And then I will stamp additional robots on some scrap pieces of paper. This is the paper that is offered at By the Well for God that coordinates perfectly with the kit. I've loved using all the paper that they've had, and I'm able to use up all these little scraps on paper piecing, which is a great tip. If you have scraps of paper and you're not really sure what to do with them, you can see these are starting to get to be pretty small scraps. Paper piecing is an awesome way. You just stamp out the image and then you're able to cut it apart and put it all together to create very cool, unique, and personalized die cut pieces. So each image is getting stamped on what I'm calling the metal piece of paper, and then stamped a couple of different times on some of these scraps. These are going to bring in some bright colors. Of course, the metal is a little bit toned down looking, so the bright colors will come in through the different paper pieces. And I'm just doing a couple different times. That way I can pick and choose which pieces I want to put together as I start to cut them all out and piece them as one piece. All right, as I put you all on super fast forward while I trim out, let me read you the passage from today's devotional. But we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that the surpassing power belongs to God and not to us. We are afflicted in every way, but not crushed, perplexed, but not driven to despair, persecuted, but not forsaken, struck down, but not destroyed, always carrying in body the death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may also be manifested in our bodies. 2 Corinthians 4, 7 through 10. I'll talk a little bit about what those verses meant to me, but right now I'm working on the background of my page. So I have my stencil here. I used pixie spray so that it would stay in place while I worked. And I'm protecting the rest of my page because what I'm going to do is a splatter technique. The whole feel of this kit is very mixed media, very messy and very bright and fun, and I love that. So I pulled out my Neo colors that coordinate with the kit. I will definitely list them below, and I'm coloring them on just a piece of clear packaging. I think this is actually one of the backs of the stamp pieces, and I'm just coloring circles from those Neo colors, all different colors, and I will add some water to it because these are water soluble crowns. You can use them kind of like watercolor. They don't soak through the paper on this Bible paper, which is awesome. So you see me kind of mixing it up here, and then I am just tapping my water brush over top of my stencil. I want to have these circles full of splatter and white in between just to kind of change it up. And this was a fun thing to play around with. I make sure to dry in between each color so that the colors don't start to meld together, because I really want that polka dotted kind of random splatter look. It's actually a lot of color, but when you do it in the splatters, it's not quite as in your face, I guess you'd say. So you'll see me kind of go through all the colors. And while I'm doing that, I was thinking about trials, because that's what today's devotion had us thinking about, and kind of the purpose of trials in our life, and how the trials always do have a purpose. And that's where I came up with the title assembled by trials, but not in error. Because I was thinking about the whole process of trial and error and how scientists work and engineers work, and they try a lot of things. And God tries things with us too and puts us through trials, but it's never in error. I don't say he puts us through trials, but we experience trials, but it's not in error. It's always to bring us closer, to teach us something. And it can be hard to see when you're in the midst, for sure. But I know in my life, I was able to kind of reflect on experiences that felt like incredible trials that I would never get through. And now that I'm on the other side of them, I can see what it was that God was trying to teach me. Anyway, all that to say that that's the kind of things I was thinking about. When you do a more time-consuming process like this, it gives you more time to reflect on the passage. And I know a lot of people kind of think we just do artwork, we're just playing with supplies, and it is fun to play with supplies, but I do spend this time thinking and reflecting, and when my hands are busy, it allows my brain to kind of quiet and reflect, and that's just how my personality works. You can see this was really messy. It got all over those extra papers, so I'm really glad I used them to protect the rest of the Bible page. I'm going to clear up, move off the extra papers, dry it a little bit, and then as I come back, I'm going to use a micron pen and I want to just highlight those circles. These are kind of rugged circles. They're not perfect ones. This is a Tim Holtz stencil, so you can imagine it has a little bit of a grunge style to it. And I'm tracing those circles because I do want them to stand out on my page when I take the stencil off. And I think it does. It kind of creates an interesting background. Mixed media is fun because I feel like sometimes you're never sure what you're going to get, and it can be a little scary to try it in your Bible because our Bibles are so precious to us. But in the end, this was a good technique to allow me that time to reflect, and I'm really pleased with the result. I come back in. I really like how that looks. You can see I'm going to play with my little robots. They'll be down here in the bottom, and I just like how the dots on the top, or sorry, all those polka dots with the splatters kind of brought out some of the color in the robots. I'm taking that same mica spray that I used on the robots and spraying it on the page, just kind of haphazardly, adding a little bit of glimmer. And you can see I'm pulling out that metal paper that I created at the beginning. This is the Elemental Alpha set from By the Will for God. I will link it below if it is available. It's been kind of going in and out of stock because it's super popular, because it's an amazing set. And I'm going to use it to create my titles. So I'm adding the part trials, and then I'm going to do the word error, and it makes me super glad that I stamp on extra paper, because you're going to see I totally mess up the stamp and misspell error, or just get a bad stamp, or see that went wrong, but I'm able to just restamp it, and then I end up cutting those out, those letters out, and I'll use them in my title. I will not make you watch me cut out all these letters, but I do want to give you a tip on using scissors that are the appropriate size. So I have these small detail scissors, and they work great for cutting out small pieces like this. So don't just use one set of scissors. Small ones come in really handy for little detail cutting like this. I'm adding some washi tape here on the bottom, some black grid washi, and then this is some washi back from when Recollections kind of had their own faith brand, and that just gives my robots a place to kind of stand, gives them a spot to rest. And I adhere all my robots down there at the bottom, and then I will begin working on piecing together my title. Normally I would use my Xyron sticker maker and run these through, and that's a really easy way to make these alphas into stickers, but mine happens to be out of the sticker paper, so I'm using some liquid adhesive just because it's a little bit easier to put on than my roller adhesive. And I'm adding in the main parts of the title, which are the words error and trial, and then I'm going to use some small alpha stickers, and these are the tile alphas that coordinate with the kit, and I will use them to add in the rest of my title. This page has a lot of adhesive on it, so I use just this metal tin that came in with my Neo colors to kind of press things down. And I'm adding in the other words, assembled by my trials, but not in error. And that just reminds me that there's always a purpose behind our trials, and that God is walking through them with us and helping us get to the other side. I mentioned earlier that the Bible verse that I was journaling was actually on the opposite page, and I have already journaled it in this particular Bible, so I wanted to put a reference, and so I'm adding in the reference right here, 2 Corinthians 4, 7 through 10, and I got really far into putting these stickers down before I realized that I did not have a number 1 alpha tile to put the 10 parts. So I decided that I wanted to still keep with the yellow, and what I end up doing is just using the letter I right there to represent my 1. And the purpose is I know what it means. That's the important part. It's not actually a 1, but I really liked how that yellow kind of stuck out on the pink washi tape. I add some messy boxes around the words assembled by my and not in, just to add to the messiness of the page, which really fit the mixed media feel, and I like how that turned out. Now I'm going to work on the tab cluster at the top, and I'm going to use some of the different die cut pieces that come with the kit. I'm adding a sticker here just to add a little bit more background and balance, a place for those kind of tabs to rest. They felt a little bit disconnected, and I will add a tiny little bit of journaling right above the title to fill in that space. But you can see I'm adding the sticker, and then I trim it off and use the extra down below because I never like to waste any of that gorgeous clear sticker paper. It's really nice to add some different texture to your entry. And I will adhere these pieces up at the top, and then again grab for those alpha tile stickers and add the name of that devotional, and it is Treasured Trials. And again, this one was day 6 by Lori, and it was a great one. I really loved it. Trials are hard, and sometimes it's hard to kind of reconcile our trials with our faith, but when you really look at it, that's your opportunity for your faith to grow. And adding a little bit of journaling at the top, I am writing, I am not defined by my trials, but by the lessons I learn from them and the faith that grows. Once I add my quick date stamp, this page will be done. I am really enjoying this kit. I think it is currently out of stock at By the Will for God, but if it is not, I will make sure to link it below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider hitting that subscribe button as well as that bell notification button. I hope you have a fantastic day, and as always, keep it creative.